Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sportscenter rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sportscenter, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar. Booyah, and it's time for the Game Sports Show. You're listening to the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show on thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or on the Scott Nason YouTube channel. You may have been directed here through our social media pages on Instagram or Facebook at the Game Sports Show. Either way, I want to say thank you for joining us here tonight. We're here live for the Wednesday edition of the Game Sports Show from Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar, named the Sioux's best sports bar for the third year in a row now, and we're here for its famous 75-cent wing nights, as always here at Sports Center. Great atmosphere, great food, and great service all around, especially from the beautiful Alicia White.
Easy.
Also want to say thank you to Frank Ligori for his continuous hospitality and sponsorship of the Game Sports Show as well. And I want to say thank you to you, the listeners, for joining us here tonight on this January the 2nd, 2019 edition. We're now turning over the calendar, and we're into 2019, and I'm here alongside Justin Hykel and Jamie Antonello, and I'm going to get to the fellas in just a few moments here. Just want to get to the usual introduction portion here, and I want to say thanks to Scott Nason, who is our board operator tonight, and as always, and I want to say Happy New Year to you, the listeners, both on the Canada side, the United States side, or through worldwide, because I know we got a variety of listeners worldwide, even over in Europe. Say Happy New Year, and also belated Christmas as well, and hopefully everyone had a happy holiday. It was definitely a very eventful holiday, if I say so myself. You know what? If you want to share your stories about what you have for the holidays, don't hesitate to reach out to one of the boys here, myself, or comment below. Always like to hear the stories of how everybody's holiday was. We're here live at Sports Center here tonight, as I mentioned, getting back into the swing of things after we've had a nice little schedule adjustment throughout the holidays, as Sports Center was the only show that we did throughout the holidays, as we had a break from our Noah Superior edition and our Icebreakers edition, also the Wicked Sister edition of the Game Sports Show. We will return to the Wicked Sister on January the 14th, and we'll also be at Northern Superior Brewing Company. That'll be tomorrow, January the 3rd, and we'll be at Icebreakers this upcoming Sunday, January the 6th. Now, tonight here on the January 2nd, Wednesday edition from Sports Center, we're going to be talking about football. And it's going to be invaded by football. We're in the pocket segment where we talk about Week 17 of the National Football League. We talk about the playoff picture. We're going to be talking about the NCAA college football and the big games that happen this weekend. The big national championship game that's going on. This be on next Monday, January the 7th, between Clemson and Alabama. And also we'll talk about the Toronto Raptors at the conclude of the show before we wrap up tonight's show. So without further ado, I bring in the fellas. Jamie, over to you first. Welcome, my friend. How you been, and how were your holidays?
They were good. I mean, quiet, spent time with family, usual stuff. It's bowl season, like I said last week. It's an awesome time. Unfortunately, we're still kind of mourning the loss of Canada and the World Juniors getting eliminated here. But, yeah, I mean, looking forward to the national championship and talking about playoff picture.
Jamie, you and I were here on December the 27th, so obviously we had a pretty big talk about football then, and we also talked a little bit of the World Juniors in that show. Just going to give the listeners a little spoiler. We're going to be talking about the World Juniors tomorrow from Northern Superior Brewing Company, and also we'll continue probably into our chats on Sunday from Icebreakers. That's going on us with Brad Cochmilio. Without further ado, the guy who is usually there on Thursdays, sometimes Sundays, he makes his appearance here on Wednesdays when he possibly can. He's one happy football fan. Speaking of football, being an Indianapolis Colt fan right now, we're going to get into talking about how the Colts made it to the playoffs and get his reaction. But without further ado, let's bring you in. Justin, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. It's Colts are in the playoffs after a 1-5 start. I'd like to thank you and your Steelers for gift wrapping that for me. Quite the fumble. Wonderful fumble. I don't think I've jumped that high into a ceiling fan before in my life. But fingers are good. Arms are good. We're doing all right. Getting ready for a playoff game this weekend. So, not going to complain.
Didn't take you long to ride me there, did it, Hike? It's been quite the long stint I've had seeing my Steelers make the playoffs, since it's the first time in, I know it's over a decade since the Steelers have made the playoffs. This will be the first time they haven't made it. I think it's been since 2006, 6 or 5 was it? Last time. See, you can't even remember the last time they didn't make the playoffs. But definitely a way that they shouldn't have not made it, and they probably should have made it based on that team. But we'll get into that full reaction as the show continues. Jamie, I want to pass over the mic to you because we're actually going to start off in the pocket right now. We're going to hut the ball, and we're going to throw a Hail Mary off the hop here. First play of the game, and talk about NCAA college football. And the reason why it's a Hail Mary is because it's between two people. The quarterback and the receivers. They're going to catch the ball. Receiver. Usually on a Hail Mary, you're just throwing it wherever. But I'm saying I got my eye on you. I'm going to be the quarterback. You're going to be the receiver. I don't know if you get the analogy there. I'm just going to be the guy that already threw the ball here by giving you the mic, and you're going to take the ball to the end zone, wrapping up college football for us. Like that?
It was a very elaborate roundabout way. I mean, hopefully I'm like a tight end in the south end zone at Ford Field because that's the only place you catch Hail Marys anymore now, apparently. So,
fans not
yeah.
making that comment.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? So, I mean, feel free to jump in here, fellas, if you have a particular bowl you want to talk about. So I'll pick up from when we left off. Yeah. Music City Bowl last Friday. Purdue and Auburn. Wow, Purdue. You were pretenders. I thought you guys were at least going to show up after shellacking Ohio State in the regular season. Auburn just put on a clinic. Wasn't even close. SEC football dominated the Big Ten there. I mean, yeah, 63-14 Auburn. Camping World Bowl, Syracuse over West Virginia, 34-18. West Virginia with Big 12 defense. I mean, unfortunately, they just couldn't hang. Syracuse is a legit team. They played a lot of quality opponents this year, very tight. And multiple touchdown win there, 34-18. Alamo Bowl, Washington State, Mike Leach, my guy, over Iowa State, 28-26, tight game. Awesome to watch, super exciting, all the way down to the wire. Lots of scoring early, and then the fourth quarter was really tight. That's what college football's about. Those are the fun ones to watch. Peach Bowl, another forgettable one for me as a Michigan fan. I mean, Florida just absolutely whooped us. I mean, I like Jim Harbaugh, but he's getting on my nerves a little bit lately. That was tough. I mean, we were decimated. We had a bunch of injuries, guys missing. Shea Patterson really had to have a big game. I mean, I really just hope next year with him back, we can elevate. Sometimes we got to get out of this super, super pro-style run-heavy offense that we'd love to run, especially when our starting running back sits out to go forward into the NFL draft. 41-15, Florida wins. The Belk Bowl, Virginia smashing South Carolina. Did not see this one coming. Thought South Carolina was going to actually show up. Big win for Virginia. Arizona Bowl, Nevada versus Arkansas State, 16-13 win in overtime. Low-scoring affair, but still, big dub for Nevada there. Then we get into the two college football semifinals, neither of which was particularly close. Clemson, Notre Dame. Man, Notre Dame fans, I feel for you. Unfortunately, until they get into a conference, I think it's going to be a struggle. I mean, we saw it the last time in 2012. They went into the national championship versus Alabama, got smoked. I mean, there was no fake girlfriends this time, no excuses. Wow. Clemson dominates 30-3, yeah. Not even close. Cotton Bowl, Clemson's going on. Orange Bowl, Alabama, Oklahoma. Not really ever in doubt for Alabama this whole game, 45-34 win versus Kyler Murray, the Heisman winner. Oklahoma went on a bit of a run at the end. Kyler Murray had pedestrian stats passing, was a threat to run. Alabama scored on their touchdowns on their first four possessions and then basically just cruised the rest of the game. Alabama doing some creative things. Jalen Hurts, backup quarterback, took a jet sweep at one point. So wild things we're seeing. I mean, I love college football just for all this stuff.
They're unbeatable. Alabama's unbeatable. Did you see that Barstool upload? Yeah, Barstool. I'm giving you some publicity. Not like you guys freaking need it, but that guy, I can't really elaborate because this morning I was half asleep reading it. That guy was saying how Alabama is unbeatable. There's no way this team's going to lose. There's no way this team will ever lose. And I don't know where that was. I got to look at I got to find maybe the post. Maybe get producer Ghost to get on that ASAP. But
if I'm guessing, I'm going to say it's Stephen A. Smith. Probably. It sounds like something ludicrous that he would babble on about.
I think it was just a random fan, but we'll find it. Maybe we'll get producer Ghost on it. But this team's unbeatable, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, they're a juggernaut for sure. But I mean, Hyke and I were talking before we started that what Alabama does, it's kind of that like Soviet Russia in the 70s thing where like they beat teams by intimidation before you even step on the field. And teams will show up and it's just not even close. Like they can't hang with them the first quarter and then it's over. And you've broken their will and it doesn't matter. And the teams that play them consistently well are the teams that aren't afraid of them. Clemson, Georgia, those seem to be the only two teams. And even LSU, despite their lopsided loss this year, I don't think they're afraid of them. But there's, again, two SEC teams and then an ACC team that's won a national championship and played Alabama a lot in the last couple of years. So interesting to see, but regardless, we know our national championship matchup, Alabama-Clemson. Moving on to the New Year's Eve games. Cincinnati and Virginia Tech in the Military Bowl, back and forth affair, lots of scoring. 35-31 win for Cincy, great game to watch. Stanford-Pittsburgh, Sun Bowl, low scoring, 14-13. A lot of action in the end. Stanford with a key touchdown in the fourth quarter to win. And then, I know Dave didn't call this one, the Red Box Bowl, Oregon with a 7-6 victory over Michigan State.
Boys.
You called Oregon winning. I bet you didn't call them only scoring one touchdown and then being in the fourth quarter.
The Ducks, bud.
Wild game. Michigan State, I mean, yeah, they were a bit of pretenders this year. They struggled big time, but go Ducks. Liberty Bowl, Oklahoma State beating Missouri 38-33. Big win. Big 12 over SEC. That doesn't happen often. Oklahoma State with a big W. Holiday Bowl, Northwestern, kind of upsetting Utah a little bit. I think people were down on Northwestern a bit. I mean, I picked them in an upset, but not a lot of people did. So 31-20 victory. Tax Layer Bowl, Texas A&M putting a beat down on NC State, 52-13. And then we get into the bowl games yesterday. 5 to go here. Outback Bowl, Iowa beating Mississippi State 27-22. Not much going on in that game, kind of slow-paced. I mean, Mississippi State's quarterback really struggled, had a bunch of turnovers, but he also had one of the best touchdown runs that I've seen a quarterback have, who is a tall, skinny white guy. PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, not the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. I got confused. Hykel got confused. We were all over the place. LSU, UCF. Unfortunately, UCF can no longer say they are back-to-back national champions with air quotations, losing 40-32. Had an opportunity to win this game with a great onside kick that they almost recovered with 45 seconds left. Would have had to go down the field and score and then get the 2-point, but the way their offense was going in the fourth quarter, I thought it was going to happen. LSU with a big win there. Joe Burrow, their quarterback, was throwing darts all over the field. UCF could not cover him. Citrus Bowl, Penn State, Kentucky. Close game. Kentucky ends up squeaking out the win. Penn State and Trace McSorley couldn't claw back. He did all he could. I mean, he's definitely got an NFL future, especially with the amount of undersized quarterbacks we have in the league now, just that athleticism, his competitiveness. But Kentucky ultimately getting the win, 27-24. Ohio State hanging on for a win in the Rose Bowl versus Washington. They dominated the game the entire time, and then their defense fell asleep for the last 10 minutes of the game. Had to claw it out in Urban Meyer's final game. He's had a tumultuous year. Unbelievable career, 3-time national champion. And unfortunately, he's stepping away from college football despite all the off-season drama. And he's got some medical concerns. But Washington, I mean, they've got some things to build on there. I mean, they're losing a really strong senior class, so they're going to struggle next year. But they've got their program's rolling in the right direction. And then we get to the Sugar Bowl. Texas football is back. 28-21 victory over Georgia. Georgia with all those tweets saying, oh, what a top 4 in the national championship, because they really want Oklahoma getting beat down by Alabama. Oh, and then Texas blows the doors off the game in the first half, 20-7 at halftime. They're completely dominating the pace of play. Sam Ehlinger was grinding out first downs, tough as nails. Texas football. Georgia just could never scramble and recover. I love to see it. You love to see upsets. That's what college football is all about. But looking forward now, it's all about the national championship. Clemson, Alabama. I got Alabama winning the game. I mean, I think it's going to be close. If anybody can do it, it's Clemson. They're one of those 3 teams that I mentioned that I think can knock them off. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Alabama's got too much going on. The big concern going in the semifinal for Alabama was whether Tua's ankle was healthy. He looked great. He took up some big hits, got into some piles, got twisted around, was fine. No problems, no lingering issues. So that means he should have a full week of practice, which he hasn't had. He had a full month off. He had that reconstructive surgery that allowed him to be able to play in the semifinal. But I got Bama winning the game. Looking forward to talking about it next week. But I think Clemson can give him a game. Trevor Lawrence, rookie QB, true freshman for Clemson. He was one of the guys at the Elite 11. He's Cali kid, long blonde hair, 6'6", looks like sunshine out there. But he's the real deal. How long he stays at Clemson is, I think, how long they have a potential to win national championships year in, year out.
And Jamie caught that in the end zone with a clean catch of Dave McCaig's Hail Mary pass. Good wrap-up, Jamie. I had to wrap up my analogy there. You know what? I couldn't agree more with the Alabama winning. Clemson is the team to do it. But I figured Notre Dame was going to be the one to do it, but obviously not. And Producer Ghost found the Barstool upload. It's captioned, "Did this man just expose a conspiracy that is Alabama football?" Stuff like this makes you think. I obviously can't play the clip. I don't own what Barstool has uploaded, but you can certainly check it out on Barstool Instagram about what he said. It actually brought up some weird yet good points, I guess. He says every college team is basically playing for second place. What is Alabama football? And go Ducks. People forget out there, I'm definitely a Duck fan, so good to see the Ducks pull out a nice little bowl win. Quack, quack, if you know what I'm saying. Justin, you got any final thoughts with NCAA football before we move on to Week 17 in the National Football League?
If you got an attitude that you're always playing for second place, you're only ever going to be second place.
So does Clemson beat Alabama?
I think it's doable, but it depends.
Do they do it?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I honestly don't. Would I like to see it? 100%. Do I think that they have the talent to do it? Yes. Do I think that these kids can get it through their head that they can beat them? I don't think so. I don't think they have the coach that can get them to do it. Saban's guys will run through a wall for him and then run back through the wall to come back to him. That's a coach right there. That's a college football coach.
He is. Definitely. He could probably walk in and get an NFL job off the street if he really tried.
No.
He doesn't want it, though. He wants to stay at Bama, no doubt. But, fellas, we're going to move on from NCAA. We'll get more on that after the championship final game. We'll have Jamie give that full coverage next week here from Sportscenter Bar and Grill between Bama and Clemson. Good try to Notre Dame, and congratulations to Oregon once again as well. Made me very proud to cheer for at least one football team this past week, if you know what I'm saying. Now, without further ado, let's move into Week 17. Jamie, we're going to announce the overall standings of our Blake Winter Pick'em Trophy after the break. We're going to leave a spoiler, as I knew Dave McCaig was 7 games behind Jamie after having a 2-game lead earlier in the season, then after a couple bad weeks and falling off the map. But did David McCaig catch up? Or did David McCaig not catch up to Jamie Antonello? We're going to get, let's just say, the results for the Blake Winter Pick'em Trophy for the Game Sports Show. Week 17, Jamie. Justin, as well. Can't forget you, sorry. I know you're here.
I'm here. I mean, just because I burnt you about your garbage Steelers doesn't mean you have to disclude me from everything.
I haven't taken chirps about a sports team in years, for God's sakes. I've been nothing about 6. We sat here. Okay, I'm going to leave it at the table here. Do we jump into the Steelers right now? Want to jump into that? Is that good? You guys okay with
I think it's hot and fresh right now.
fresh. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's eat it. So let's say with this, I want to talk about everything about the Steelers right now. We got Antonio Brown, who requested a trade. Tomlin is on the hot seat. That seat's got to be hotter than lava right now, don't you think? Now, what about Big Ben? We can get to that maybe a bit later on after we talk about the game. The Steelers beat the Bengals 16-13. Okay, but if you want to rewind to the previous week, is the week that literally put them all in that against the Saints is where they hurt themselves. Mm-hmm. The fumble. You said you've mentioned that. You made your own bed, and you had to rely on the Browns to defeat the Baltimore Ravens. And if you want to look at the stats, it wasn't that bad of a football game. Ravens, had full control in the first half, but the Browns came back. Baker Mayfield, 3 INTs, but he almost threw 400 yards. But Lamar Jackson, no touchdowns, but he was still playing some good football. You had Kenneth Dixon step up. You had a good distribution. Lamar Jackson, ran 90 yards. What did we say last week, Jamie? I think the exact term was the all-around game of the Ravens is what brought them success at the end of the season there. And the Browns, I give you guys credit. You guys gave the Ravens a good football game, and we had to rely, and I mean we as the Steelers, had to rely on the Colts and Tennessee Titans to tie to get into the fucking playoffs. Yeah, so
we don't play in the AFC North where you just tie and play slap hands all the time. So
the Steelers played a decent football game against the Bengals, but nothing perfect. It didn't look like a team that was hungry, to be honest. It looked like a team that knew it was defeated. And you had Antonio Brown, who didn't play. So I thought when that was happening, I thought we were just making our bet that we weren't going to beat the Bengals because everyone knows the Steelers have trouble in their own division. especially against the Bengals and or Ravens, or if you want to go, I guess, and the Browns this year. But, Jamie, did the Steelers make their own bed? Did they set up all this? They had the division locked up about 3 weeks ago, and then they lose against the Saints. They lost. It was 2 before that. I can't remember the top of my head, but they made their own bed essentially.
They were 7-2-1 at one point. So
lost like 5 of their last.
yeah, it was 5 in a row.
After the Jacksonville loss.
Yes, so it was. Yeah, Jacksonville. I mean, they were 7-2-1. I mean, they looked to be coasting. They were the 2nd seed at one point at the halfway mark of the season, and then to not make the playoffs. I mean, that's tough. I mean, those are the games you got to win. I mean, you look at teams that will go 500 in September and October, and then you go on a hot streak and you make the playoffs. Look at the Colts. I mean, they were struggling early. Well, not that they were struggling, but they were 500 team early. Went on a hot run. They were 6-6. Won the last 4. Made the playoffs. That's how it works. So, but Antonio Brown missing meetings, whatever, and then not playing, requesting a trade. I mean, there's clearly some turmoil there. And all I can say about Mike Tomlin getting fired is if Marvin Lewis could finally get fired from Cincinnati, Tomlin could get let go too. Because those are 2 of the teams that hang on to coaches forever, way too long in some cases. Marvin Lewis's case mostly there. But, I mean, I'm curious to see. I think we're going to unpack some more here in the next couple weeks and really start to see what happened behind closed doors.
I'll say that since we're kind of drifting off into what the whole reason was between Brown and Tomlin and Roethlisberger, Tomlin has to go. I think it's time. We have a fresh face there. Roethlisberger and I think Brown is the reason of the turmoil. They obviously don't get along. They've had issues before. And obviously, I think you brought up the point in your text, Justin, that the fight wasn't there. Or I'm not going to steal your thunder. You're going to say it in just a few moments, but there's something there with the Steelers how it just wasn't working out all year. Bell doesn't play. Now you're going to lose Bell this offseason. Antonio Brown wants a trade, and then probably the only way you keep Brown is if you move Tomlin and or Roethlisberger, and only one of them can probably go for free. I don't think you're going to move your franchise quarterback, someone who's been there for that many years. Ben wants the team to stay intact, but obviously Brown doesn't. And where does he go? I read these trades online. Brown to the Buccaneers for Evans. I'm reading all these different kind of trades online that are just ludicrous. I don't even think make sense. You got to keep Brown in the fold. You got to keep Ben in the fold. And I think you move Tomlin, I think things would change. But I'm going to go to you, Justin, for your comments on how the Steelers made their own bed, how disappointing of a season it was, and about the Brown rumors and the request in a trade.
I mean, I'll get this out of my system right off the bat. I'm not a Roethlisberger fan. I think he's a spoiled brat as far as your leadership group goes on a team. He walked into a Bill Cowher coached team that was a quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl. What happened when they got a quarterback? This rookie showed up, had a good year. Did he win the Super Bowl his rookie year, or it was the year after? And was it back-to-back or back-to-back appearances? Because yeah, like he had a good rookie year, and once Tomlin came around, that success kind of continued because they had the Super Bowl in Arizona, right? With Harrison got that touchdown return. So, I mean, there was that one, and then they've had some playoff appearances since, but...
Went to the Super Bowl, lost to Green Bay.
Yeah. But Roethlisberger doesn't... If Eli Manning had his team still playing for him in Week 17, and they're in contention for nothing, and Roethlisberger can't even get guys to practice with him when they're in playoff contention in Week 17, there's an issue there. And unfortunately, in any situation like that, your big wheels in the locker room, that attitude trickles down. So you got guys like, if Antonio Brown doesn't want to play, why am I going to play? And you can, if you look at the stats, you see Antonio Brown led the league in touchdowns this year, didn't lead in yards. Smith-Schuster, that's a point of contention. I'll tell you for free, that's a point of contention in that locker room. I'm the big play wide receiver. He's getting the yards. Why am I not getting the yards? Drama queen nonsense. There's a reason guys like Antonio Brown fall to the draft position they fall to. Some coaches do their due diligence. Other coaches like Mike Tomlin, who is very much a player's coach, gives these guys a chance and thinks that he can turn them around. But guys I'm not in the locker room, but I feel like guys like Antonio Brown are going to take a lot more leash from a player's coach than they're going to take from a guy like Bill Belichick.
So does Brown get traded?
They can't. They're cap locked with him. Like you'd have to hope that Roethlisberger retired to clear up some space and figure it out that way.
If he leaves?
Nobody.
They drafted a guy.
You're right. Who's?
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I forget his name. But I think that if you're Steelers ownership and you're looking for a changing of the guard, your locker room's giving you every reason to do it right now. You've got knocked out of the playoffs. You just watched the Browns and the Ravens. Brett Rudolph.
That's right.
And you just watched the Browns and the Ravens, who are probably going to be 1-2 ahead of you in the division for at least the foreseeable future. Maybe it's time to try and do a retool. Get rid of Tomlin, kind of move on. Like the Bengals are trying to do a retool. They interviewed Hugh Jackson today, so how can that go wrong?
You got NFL experts like Kevin Gorman saying the Steelers have no choice but to move Brown. You have people saying they should move Brown. You got to keep Brown over Roethlisberger. The different stuff like that. Jamie, I get your opinion on that. Do the Steelers have to move Brown?
I mean, I think they're going to be tough to do it. I think
It's $20 million dead cap.
Yeah, there's like you're going to be paying him wherever he goes. Like that's the problem, right? So, and I mean, if he's requested a trade, I mean, I think you're going to lose whatever trade you do. So, Steelers are an organization that generally won't bend whatsoever. And I mean, you can't harp them for that. I mean, I think they may just have to eat it. You may end up in a similar situation to what happened with Le'Veon Bell next year, where AB sits out. I don't know. I hope he doesn't. I mean, but if he's causing that much drama, and it's hard to say, like looking outside. But I mean, anytime that there's something wrong there, and it starts with Tomlin, because it starts with the top and the quarterback, like you said. It always starts with those guys. Just QB from the simple perspective is you're automatically a leader just based on your position, and Roethlisberger's the longest tenured guy there, and you're expected to carry yourself differently. And not to say that if playing in Arizona or something, but it's different than Pittsburgh. There's tradition there. There's expectation. It's not the same. I don't think they can get rid of Brown.
Super Bowls?
I don't know what they're. I think they might have the most now, but you'd have to look that up for Super Bowls. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they can get rid of Brown. I think they're just going to have to eat it, maybe until his contract runs out, whatever.
Steelers do.
Or it's bad.
It's a roster that doesn't look like it's going to overcome adversity. And these guys have maybe been together too long now. And like I said, maybe Roethlisberger's past his prime. That's just, he had an okay season, but the receivers are doing the work for you. You're very susceptible when you don't have an offensive line. And what's the trade return on QB1? So, and there's going to be teams in the league looking. Look at Jacksonville.
Here's the other thing, too, is, I mean, Roethlisberger's threatened to retire a few times. If that happens, he may just say, I'm done. So that may happen, too. But if you're Pittsburgh, that could be his leverage against you. If they say, we're looking to trade you, we're looking to deal you, he could be like, well, I'm just going to retire, and then you get nothing. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see what they're going to do.
Lots of Steelers stuff, and yes, they had the most Super Bowl wins with 6. So that you got a legacy there with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I might be right, Justin, about maybe a little revamp, a little retool. It won't be hard to do it because you're in a division that you can afford to do that right now because you can get back right on top and be competitive next year still. More games, though, to talk about, fellas, even though we're just getting started here with our NFL. Here talking about Week 17, it seems like Steelers not qualifying for the playoffs. The Colts do. 33-17 win over the Titans. And they play against the Houston Texans in the wild card round. We're going to talk about the wild card after our break. Justin, walk me through it, my man. Walk me through how you felt seeing let's go back. Andrew Luck getting back in there. Andrew Luck gets into the year. He's playing in a form that's absolutely unbelievable. His arm looks fantastic. Hilton had a fucking amazing year with Andrew Luck. The chemistry's just there. They get into the playoffs after having a slower start. and they win it on the last game of the year to get in decisive fashion, too. 33-17 is not a laughing win. It's not really the tightest of all wins, but it's definitely a win that they earned. Colts get in the playoffs. So you expect big things going in the playoffs, and how happy are you in general, my man?
The thing that's scary to me, I don't want to rain on my own parade here, but everyone knows who watched the game, the play that I'm talking about. Andrew Luck panics in the pocket, and he does the most boneheaded things. Like, he just flew a little fluffer kind of ball up right to the front. I think it was a linebacker, to be honest. And touchdown. In a game where you're up 17 to, I believe, 3 at that point in time in the game, you brought them right back into it.
I like the resurgence of Ebron, too, man.
That's...
Sorry, Lions fans, but...
Well, no, you just didn't have the right guy throwing on the ball, that's all. But our defense has been the shining star, I think, in the back half of the season. We've got some guys. Darius Leonard not making the Pro Bowl, I think, is going to be an edge for him going into the playoffs.
Watch one defense rookie of the year now and be like, okay, guys, come on.
Yeah. He led the league in tackles. In the game on Sunday, I believe he had an interception. He had, I think, a forced fumble, 2 sacks, and I think 7 tackles. Some of his stat lines you can't make up.
Caused an interception.
He's ridiculous. There's just certain players that you watch, and they're in a league of their own. And to me, he reminds me a lot of a young Robert Mathis, who happens to be his positional coach. That may be working out okay for him. But we do have some glaring weaknesses going into the playoffs. Our secondary is a little touch and go going up against Houston. That being said, I think the season series against Houston, we should have had a tie against them, but as our coach said, we don't play for ties. And I can totally get behind that. You can't really blast them for that. And then they beat Houston the second time. So, if anything, we're going to have a good game to start the playoffs off right on this weekend. And I'm not going to get ahead of myself for any bad juju here, but everyone at the table knows my mindset.
Colts definitely deserving. Jamie, got any comments with the Colts and Titans game?
Yeah, like I said, Indy's already started their playoff run. That was a win and get in game versus Tennessee. Other than the Andrew Luck bonehead play, you just hope that doesn't happen in the key fourth quarter moment against Houston this week. Or he just doesn't do it at all because he's better than that. But I think it's still just a comfortability thing. The big thing with Indy this year is their O-line upgraded like crazy, and they're playing awesome. And the defense
didn't allow a 100-yard rusher this season.
Didn't allow a 100-yard
rusher. That's big. That's big.
So
Barkley and Zeke, yeah, that's big. So Indy, they got all the New York Giants vibes that I need to see, and I'm feeling it. And I'm talking 2007/2011 New York Giants vibes. I honestly don't think. We're going to get into the playoff picture here in a minute. I don't think any of the top teams in the AFC are going to make it. I just don't. It's that feeling right now. There's been too much turmoil up and down. Yes, that's what it was. You're right. Hyke just said too many teams got hot too early. So big win for Indy. They've been able to run the ball fairly consistently lately. These are all recipes, or these all add to the recipe of being a good playoff team. So I'm excited for Indy. I've been riding Indy, and really since week 12, I said Indy and Tennessee are hot right now, and I think it's going to come down to one of those for that final seed. And the AFC was just tough this year because you had the Chargers and Kansas City Chiefs who were automatically going to eat up one of those spots. So it was automatically a lot harder. And credit to Indy, they dominated. And people can say whatever, Marcus Mariota didn't play, whatever. You look at that game, I don't think he would have impacted it that greatly because you look at the score and Andrew Luck gifted them a touchdown too. So if you take that off the board, it's a 3+ touchdown victory. And I think
Derrick Henry didn't do Derrick Henry things, which I was expecting. I was still pretty nervous about that. And to be honest, Blaine Gabbert didn't look terrible. He's not a bad quarterback. And a guy like Gabbert who's played in the AFC South his entire career, or for most of his career, obviously knows the Colts. So he's not going to be bewildered on what the Colts defense is throwing at him. It was a relatively competitive game. On the fourth, the Colts defense took over, and away we went.
Colts in, Titans out. Jamie, I'm going to go back to you. Talk about a game that you want to discuss last week before we go to our break and before we come back to talk about the playoffs. You talk about playoffs?
I mean, I've been talking about the Bears like crazy this year, so I got to talk about them, I think. That was big win. I mean, like I talked about last week. I knew they were going to keep the pedal down. Some people were like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. But if LA would have lost, Chicago would have been the 2 seed. So the way you got to think about it is like that. I like Chicago. I think Chicago may have the hardest first-round matchup out of wildcard weekend against Philly now, just because Philly is, like, scary at the moment. I mean, no disrespect to your Colts hike, but I think Philly's a scary team right now. But that Chicago-Minnesota game, I mean, Minnesota really had a disappointing year when you look at it. I mean, they were up and down. I think Kirk Cousins didn't really elevate, and you saw it. That happens. Guys get paid, and then they have a slumpy year, and hopefully he can come out of it and get Minnie back in the picture. I mean, they still finished above 500, but Chicago had a firm grip. That defense, they're committed to running the football. Good defense. They have playmakers that can do it when they need to. Jordan Howard had 2 touchdowns in this game, and Tariq Cohen had the other for them. So, I mean, 3 rushing touchdowns. Kind of old school Chicago football here. But I like Matt Nagy. You're seeing like these creative coordinators that have come out of like creative centers. Like Nagy came out of Kansas City, Frank Reich came out of Philly, having a lot of success early, and that's what the game is now, right? It's being able to get your playmakers the ball on offense, putting together a team. These guys have respect in the locker room. They're not to say like, and a guy like Pete Carroll, who's the oldest coach in the league, I mean, he's probably the most youthful guy in the league, but there's something to be said for like the youth movement of guys that are under 40 that are really pushing for it. And I mean, Frank Reich's a little bit older than that, but Frank Reich has the underdog thing that you just can't compete with. I mean, what Frank Reich's been able to do, I mean, and having Andrew Luck, he's comeback player of the year. I don't think there's any question. If he doesn't win it, I'm going to be pretty upset about it. What they've been able to do there, and back to Chicago, I mean, Matt Nagy, I mean, I think there's hope in Chicago. I mean, I'm kind of cheering for them over Philly here a little bit, just from a perspective of I think Philly's really hot, but I think that's going to be a really good game. So, bottom line, Chicago had a big year. I hope they what can't happen now, though, is they can't lose. You can't fizzle out, because I think Chicago can make some noise. I honestly think there's legit potential for them to be playing against New Orleans in the conference final game. So who knows? I mean, it's interesting. I think going to Chicago is a tough place to go right now, especially this time of year. So Philly will be a team that'll be able to handle it. So I think we're going to see a legit game.
You say comeback player of the year. I'll say comeback team of the year, Cleveland Browns. For absolute sure, absolutely. But definitely an exciting week. Last week it was the National Football League. It turned into some big football games that went on, and certainly the pup pitcher has been determined. And fellas, we talked about the games that we want to talk about. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to enjoy some delicious beer. We're going to enjoy some delicious pizza. And we hear from our sponsors. David McCaig alongside Justin Hykel and Jamie Antonello live from Sportscenter Bar and Grill for the Game Sports Show, Twin Cities' only local regional national sports show. Listen to the Game Sports Show on thegamesportshow.com. Take a quick break, fellas. When we come back, it's more in the pocket, talking about NFL playoffs and announcing our winner for the Blake Winter Pick'em Trophy. Right back. The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sportscenter rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sportscenter, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course? You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Play Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a Northern thing.
The Wicked Sister, Sioux, Michigan. Check TripAdvisor, ranked right towards the top. Awarded the Certificate of Excellence, as well as voted #1 pub in the UP. The Wicked Sister has managed to create a casual menu that offers unique, creative, and sometimes healthy offerings that rivals menu selections of any big city. Burgers and starters, snacks and shareables, soups and salads, sandwiches and tapas. On Ashman Street, Sioux, Michigan. Welcome to the Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsioux.as.me-. The Salon, making the Sioux beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop. The Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Sioux Pee Wee Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop for over 40 years meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Hi, it's Craig Hartsburg, former NHL player and NHL coach. Welcome to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. You're listening to the Game Sports Show on thegamesportshow.com. Fellas, we talked in the pocket with Week 17. We talked NCAA football prior to that. Now that Week 17 is all done, now we're talking playoff picture, Justin. And I look over to you with a little bit more excitement than I look across to Jamie because the Colts made a pretty big run at the end there to get into the playoffs. Now they got a wild card matchup against the Houston Texans. Very tight matchup there. Then you have the Seahawks playing against the Cowboys. And then you have the Chargers against the Ravens. You then have the Eagles against the Bears in the other game for the 4 wild card round in the NFL playoffs. And certainly going to be exciting. And the games get started Saturday. You have the Colts that play the Texans, and following that is the Seahawks-Cowboys. Sunday will be the Chargers-Ravens and the Eagles-Bears to round out Sunday's matchups of the 4 games in an action-packed weekend. What we're going to do here, fellas, is before we get into those games, we're going to announce the winner of our Blake Winter Pick'em Trophy. Went to the finals between myself and Jamie, and then we're going to jump into those games. And getting into that, with an overall record of 167-89, Jamie Antonello has won the first Blake Winter Pick'em Fantasy Trophy. Insert clap there.
I was really hoping you were going to play like the Kurt Angle entrance music. You know, everyone knows the song I'm talking about, so...
Maybe Scott Nace will add that when we do the upload version.
Spin around, Jamie. Spin around in your glory.
The trophy will be presented by the Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop and will be given to Jamie on Super Bowl night. Ironically, that's when the trophy will be given to Jamie. And we're going to be watching the game here at Sportscenter.
Gold Saints, let's go.
It's going to be a tradition that we have here on the Game Sports to watch the game yearly here at Sportscenter. So that's where the trophy will be presented to Jamie. And finishing second was yours truly with a 156-100 record. Now, I will say, if you remember, I did take some gamble picks last week. So I do think I would have finished under 100 slightly, but I did have no chance to catch Jamie after a couple bad weeks in week 14 and 15. But without further ado, Jamie gets the win. So without further ado saying that, Jamie, you get to kick off the playoff discussion. And going around, I'm going to go to you, then going to Justin and me. What we're going to do is each game we're going to go around like we usually do. Little point there, quick and dirty point about why we think who's going to win that game. And then at the end of wrapping up these 4 games, we are going to pick our brackets for the entire playoffs for fans to join into or do something with. Maybe they can follow my picks, Jamie or Justin's. People are going to wonder why Justin and Matt's picks weren't in there. They didn't qualify for the finals against Jamie and I. But Justin's picks do matter because he is a Colts fan. I'm a Steelers fan, and my team's not in the playoffs. Save that here before it got to you. Okay? Jamie, going to you first. Colts, Texans. Then to Justin, then to me.
Yeah, I mean, I said it in the previous segment. I don't think any of the top AFC teams are going to make it. I think they're all going to be one and done. And starting with Houston, I'm going with Indy, riding the hot hand. Indianapolis has already played a playoff game versus Tennessee on the road. They're battle-tested. They're going to be in the nice, safe confines of an indoor stadium to start. Andrew Luck is rolling. That defense is good. We talked our ears off of it last round. I'm going Indy. They're going to move on, and they're going to play Kansas City next week.
Colts, it's a no-brainer.
Call that a quick and dirty answer. For a clean sweep, fellas, I'm going with the Colts. And the reason why I'm going to go with the Colts is they're feeling it. Like you said, Jim, just feeling it. Not because the team's not going to make it from the AFC. Just because Andrew Luck is back. That guy has an arm. T.Y. is running the ball. DeAndre Hopkins, though, does not have a drop ball this year, as you guys mentioned off the air. 105 catches, right?
Something like that.
Somewhere around that area.
115.
Impressive. Going to be a very good football game. That might be my game of the week. Next to this one, though, Seahawks Cowboys. Someone has me all sorts of intrigued about this game. Jamie, kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, there's great potential. I mean, this wildcard weekend's awesome because it's the most up in the air sometimes as far as who's going to win. I like Seattle on the road here. I just think they've been kind of hot lately. Again, they treated last week like a must-win game because they were playing for that 5 seed. Dallas, not so much. They still got the win versus New York, but you could see they were kind of in that limbo, like, do we rest guys, do we not? And then they ended up playing a really tight game, which isn't really the best thing when you don't need to play the guys that tight. So I'm going with Seattle. I think they're going to get the road win. I think Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner, those guys just propel them.
Yep, I was torn on this one. I really wanted to take Seattle, but I've been a big fan of the Cowboys' offensive line for a long time. As much as I hate the Dallas Cowboys, the offensive line fascinates me. Zeke is Zeke. But we also can't downplay Seattle's running game. I mean, that's been a force in the month of December at the very least. So I really do think this game comes down to the run game between Dak, Zeke, Russell, Chris Carson, I believe, is Seattle's running back. But I think the Cowboys take this. I really do. I think this is their first big crack at some playoff success. And, I mean, it's a make or break for guys like Dak, especially. I mean, Zeke's going to get a contract regardless, but Dak's got to do something.
Going to another angle there, fellas, and I'm going to say sort of Mitch Wilson and Jody Wilson over at Icebreakers for being Cowboys fans. I'm going with the Seahawks. Playoff experience. Let's say the Cowboys don't really have it, but Russell Wilson has got that gut feeling with Russ coming clutch in the big game, especially he'll be on the road. I just feel like that won't faze Russell. I think Russell's going to have a big game here. And the Seahawks, he's going to make sure the Seahawks pull away with the win to move on in the NFL playoffs. Now, Chargers, Ravens. Table's going to be split here a little bit, fellas. I think it's probably know which way I'm going to be going, so especially being a Steeler fan. But, Jamie, lead us off with the Chargers, Ravens.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Baltimore here. I think just at home, despite the fact they have a rookie quarterback in Lamar Jackson. They played LA early in the season, beat them 22-10, I believe was the score. That defense is number one for a reason. I think they had a playoff atmosphere game last week versus Cleveland. We're able to weather the storm of a furious comeback, which a team like LA is more than capable of. Despite the fact that Phillip Rivers is the veteran guy there, I just think Baltimore's defense is so multiple in what they do. They're so hard to prep for. I think for this game, I'm gonna say hammer the under. It's the 41.5. I don't see it being a high-scoring affair. I'm going to go with Baltimore. I think that running game and good defense, those are recipes, especially early in the playoffs, are recipes to get a win. Ravens.
I'm leaning more towards the Chargers on this one. As much as I want to lean on the Ravens, I kind of tend to lean on the side of statistics, and rookie quarterbacks are 1-5 against NFL quarterbacks that have 10+ years of experience. So I have to take that one, and Phillip Rivers wears bolo ties. So you really cannot fuck with a guy that has bolo ties and 9 kids.
He does have 9
He's
kids.
not going to quit. You know he's not going to quit. That's the thing. His wife's going to be pregnant by the end of the game, and he's going to be on the field the entire time. I'll bet on that.
No, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I like that. It's almost as good as my speech was at Jerry's wedding. Almost as funny as that was. I'm going to go with the Chargers, fellas. I'm going to go with that analogy, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. And the reason why I'm saying that is they lost the Ravens in the season, and I don't think it's going to happen twice. And especially when it really matters for the Chargers. I think this is where where Jackson's really going to have to show that he can hold his composure. Very tight game, he's at home, a lot of pressure. And I think it's actually going to maybe get to him a little bit. I know he's professional, but Phillip Rivers, like you said, 9 kids, he'll have 14 by the end of the game because his wife's going to have 5 kids in her stomach before the end of the game, okay? I don't know what that's called, 5-tuplets or pentuplets? Quintuplets. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jamie, for the educational lesson there. But I said 5-tuplets. 5-tuplets is funnier. But the Chargers get the win, just the better seed. I'm going with the favorite there and just that experience. Chargers move on. Jamie, next game, Bears and Eagles, defending Super Bowl champions, squeak on in there. They didn't have my vote earlier in the season. They didn't. I thought they were going to throw it all away. When Nick Foles comes in there, it's like, whoa, new team again. A team that lost Carson Wentz in week 14 last year, somewhere around that area, week 15, something like that. And then you have the meme with Sylvester Stallone's Rocky Balboa saying, oh, it's supposed to be our year, man. That kind of thing. And look what, they won it last year, and they're getting into the playoffs. Bears, Eagles, Jamie.
Can't stop now. The Bears here. I think this may be the game of the weekend. I think
That's your game of the weekend?
Nick Foles. Yeah, I'm calling her in. I think it's game of the weekend. Nick Foles is hot. That Eagles team is scary.
So hot right now.
They're back. They look back to the form that they had rolling into the playoffs. I will say this, though. End of the regular season last year when Nick Foles took over, he was trash. And then he got hot in the playoffs, so maybe his magic runs out. I'm kind of betting on it. I think Chicago's too powerful at home. I said it ad nauseum in the last section, but strong running game, good defense. At home game, it's a recipe for success early in the playoffs. Chicago.
I'm going to throw my former EB Games pals a bone here, all Eagles fans. I'm taking the Eagles on this one. They're scary right now. I wouldn't want to play them. I really wouldn't. I'm taking the Eagles, but I think the Bears' key to success in this one, if they want to win, is keeping Nick Foles on the ground. If Foles stays upright, watch out.
Going with the Eagles, Justin? Bears is going to be mine to break the tie here at the table. I'm going to say the Bears. Love what they did this year. When they added Mack and Trubinsky this year, he had a little injury there for a couple weeks, but he's had a great season. Good sophomore season for Mitch. I'd like to see what he can do if he even added an elite wide receiver to his core. That's my little teaser where I think Antonio Brown will be going in the offseason, if that happens, between that and the Buccaneers. Kind of like that rumor. But the reason why I say that is because his team's growing. His team's doing very good this year. They're respected in the league now. They're hot all year. Can't quit on these guys. The Eagles are they're the hottest team in football, almost next to, I want to say, the Colts, in terms of battling back. But I want to say the Eagles are a little bit hotter. And Nick Foles is a different quarterback, and he gets this offense. He gets it, and he's won the big game last year against the Patriots. If anyone's going to get you far in the playoffs, is that Nick Foles-like attitude. So I'm going to go with the Bears, though, despite saying that. Tight game. Bears. The youth, the hunger is what's going to overcome the experience with the Eagles. You didn't think I was going to go that route, eh?
Nobody on the planet thought you were going to go
I did say Bears off the hop, though. But I had to give the Eagles love because they certainly deserve the respect going in. And I like Nick Foles, man. I'm a big fan of Nick Foles. I like that. That's going to wrap us up there, fellas, for the wild card games. Let's transition right away to the playoff, the bracket prediction here on the Game Sports Show. Now, Justin, you're in this bracket now. There's going to be a surprise prize presented at the Super Bowl here. I already got that a little bit arranged. Jamie, if you win this, you might be getting 2 prizes on the Super Bowl game here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill in terms of who picks the right bracket here. Okay? So you, Justin, Jamie, myself, we're going to pick bracket, the 3 of us. Listeners could follow along or write your comment below what you think and compete against us. I'll tell you right now, if somebody beats us, there will be a prize courtesy of SportsCenter Bar and Grill. Guaranteed that does happen. If you do get the bracket right, and you're more right than one of us 3. So there's a potential of 2 prizes there. And I'm sure Frank Ligori is loving me saying that right now.
Here's a pro tip. If you want to get it right, copy mine.
Well, smart ass, I'll go over to you first then. You're going to get your bracket. Explain your bracket because we've already pre-typed it here before. So none of our minds were changed. You're going to say the first game. You've already picked who our winners are. So we're pretending that we moved on. So let's remind here. We'll remind Justin's picks for this week. He picked the Colts, Cowboys, Chargers, and Eagles to move on. So now we're going to pretend that we moved on for the wild card rounds. Pick the rest of your bracket, Justin.
All right, so here's my hot take. Don't burn yourselves. Colts versus Chiefs, Eagles and Saints, Chargers and Patriots, Cowboys and Rams. Which gets us to Colts versus Patriots and the matchup that everyone knows that I want. And then the Rams versus the Saints. And then in the Super Bowl that everyone, including Dustin Grondin, knows that I want, Colts versus Saints. Not to leave Jamie out here, but he's here right now, and he's been dealing with me all night. So, yeah. And obviously I'm taking the Colts to win the Super Bowl with Andrew Luck, MVP.
Now, Mr. Blake Winter Pick'em Trophy winner, do you want to go next or do you want me to go next?
I'll join the party. So, yeah, to refresh, I mean, my I got it, Dave. Okay. We're good. As my winners are, I picked Seattle, Indy, Baltimore, and Chicago. So, looking into divisional weekend, we're looking at Indy versus Kansas City, Chicago versus the Rams, Seattle versus New Orleans, and then the Ravens versus New England. And moving forward on the NFC side, I got New Orleans getting the win, and I got Chicago getting the win. Beyond that, obviously picking New Orleans to win that and then go on to the Super Bowl. On the AFC side, I'm picking the Ravens to upset New England at home, and I'm picking Indy to upset Kansas City. And then Indy is going to get the win on the road, surprising home AFC game for the Ravens. Indy's going to win on the road. Same matchup, same Super Bowl matchup as Justin, except obviously I got the Saints getting the win. And I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara, MVP.
Oh, that's Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay, do you want to give an MVP before I make my picks?
Oh, I gave an MVP.
We did. Oh, he did. Okay, my bad.
Real number 12.
The real number 12. Yikes, okay. Didn't Tom Brady have like 5 rings? That's true. That's true. Aaron Rodgers. Yep. Now, if everyone wants to refresh them with my picks, the second place finisher in the season, Colts, Seahawks, Chargers, Bears were mine. I will say that I almost typed Texans, but for some reason those Colts got me feeling hot and heavy. Colts will play the Chiefs, Seahawks against the Saints, Chargers against the Patriots, Bears will play the Rams. I have winning those games. The Chiefs would play against the Patriots, so they would win their respective games. The Rams playing the Saints, so the Rams and Saints would win their respective games. And going to the Super Bowl, okay, would be the Los Angeles Rams and the Kansas City Chiefs. I picked the Rams winning earlier this year. I am not going to change that, even though I did pick Pittsburgh to win at the beginning of the year. We all know I can't pick that team to win. I'm going to pick the Los Angeles Rams winning the Super Bowl. Super Bowl MVP, Jared Goff will be your Super Bowl MVP. I'm going to go with that. Fellas, got our bracket, and as I said, anyone, comment below. Send in your picks. You have a chance to win a chance of 2 prizes. The one prize being, if you have a perfect pool, perfect bracket, and the one that you pick, you get a prize courtesy of Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Also, if you have a bracket that's better than myself, Jamie, or Justin's, you also get a prize courtesy of Sportscenter Bar and Grill. So you have a chance to win some good prizes here, courtesy of the Game Sports Show and Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Fellas, going to be an exciting playoffs. Before we go into some quick Raptor talk, before we wrap up the show, any final thoughts going into the playoffs? Jamie?
I mean, to be honest, I had a hard time picking wildcard weekend here. And I just think a lot of games can go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if I go 0 for 4. I hope not. But I think these are 2 of the best weekends coming up. Wild card and then divisional. It's the most amount of playoff football you can get. It's usually the most exciting. You get to see those home teams in a couple weeks that have had that bye to see what they can come up with. And then wild card, usually all you want is that 6-3 upset. That's what people live for. That's what you want. You want to see the 6th seed go on. Everybody roots for the underdog. Scary thing for a lot of teams is that Indy and Philly are the 6th seed, and I know everybody knows about underdogs in Philly, and Indy has been absolutely rolling Frank Reich, who was an underdog last year. So scary things coming out of the playoffs this year.
Justin?
To me, this December has been the most fun December in NFL in a long time. I have not been this glued to my couch as far as football goes in a long. And in fairness, the Colts have been pretty brutal the last couple of years, but I've still watched every game. But this season has just been it came right down to the wire, and not just for me. I think what was it 110 possible playoff implications, or the way it shook out on Sunday. It was fun. It was. And to roll in, like you said, the next couple weeks are the most fun weeks in football. So it's going to be a good end of the season, that's for sure.
To get my thoughts about the playoffs, I'm upset that the black and yellow aren't there, but I guess you have to give other people a chance once in a while to get into the playoffs if you want to look on the light side of things. It's going to be a very exciting a very exciting round this week, but just a playoff in general. I'm excited to see if the Colts can keep up this momentum. If the Eagles, if Nick Foles can get it done again potentially. I know I'm going against my bracket, but can Nick Foles be the guy that gets them to the Super Bowl again? Or are the Ravens, led by a rookie quarterback, is that going to be a little story and getting deeper into the playoffs? You have the Dallas Cowboys, who earlier in the year were, I think, at 1.3-5, around that area. 3-5, they were really below 500. They battled back this year, and Dak Prescott's going to make some name for himself. Chargers, you got Phillip Rivers. Is he going to have 14 kids, or is he going to stay at 9, as Justin would say? It's going to be an exciting playoff all around, but the team that I'm curious about, I didn't pick them to win the first game even, but the Texans, if they do beat the Colts, okay, and sorry to say that, Justin, if they do, they go to New England, they can beat New England, and they can be a Super Bowl team. Anyone can win in these games, and as I said at the beginning of the year, Jamie, this season has been defined by the term surprising. Not just an amazing football year, not in terms of excitement, it's been a surprising year. Got the Browns, Ravens getting into the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. I wouldn't have guessed that Lamar Jackson would be the guy leading them, or if you have the Colts even getting back in the playoffs, to be honest. Steelers not making it, Nick Foles leading the Eagles back in the playoffs. All around surprising year, I feel. Jamie, I'll go to you first, then Justin before we completely wrap up.
Well, how many times in recent years have we seen a team be undefeated at 10-0, 11-0, 12-0, whatever, and then shut it down with 2 weeks left? There was 4 playoff spots up for grabs in Week 17 this year. It was wild. And even this year, New Orleans was the only team that rested a ton of guys in Week 17, and they lost their opener this year. they were down to the wire. If LA Rams hadn't lost a couple key games, they would have had the tiebreaker and they would be the 1 seed. So wild year, tons of fun. I'm excited to watch. Can't wait for it. Saturday can't come soon enough.
Justin, last thoughts.
Yeah, no, I've just been blown away by how competitive this year's been, and to be honest, like, anything could happen. But I'm a firm believer that one of the teams is going to be in that AFC title game is coming out of that 3-6 game between Indy and Houston.
Yeah.
And that's probably, I know you said your game of the week was Philly, Chicago, but I know when I mentioned the game of the week being Seattle, Dallas, arguably the Colts, Texans could be the game of the week. Every game is a game of the week, but I kind of can't rest on the Ravens-Chargers game. I think it's going to be a very defensive game. I think that is probably the least exciting game of the week, and that's still going to be an exciting football game. Either way, in my opinion. Fellas, transitioning, we ended the football game, as we would say. We ended it in the pocket. Just a quick wrap-up topic here before we conclude tonight's show. As you know, in the pocket's been invaded in the last several weeks because of all the implications with the NFL, and also even before that with local football and NFL. That's what our Wednesday show is about with our Known in the Pocket segment. David McCaig alongside Jamie Antonello and Justin Hykel here. Got about 3 minutes here, fellas, to get into and talk about the Toronto Raptors quickly, maybe 5 if we have enough time to push. The Raptors actually dropped the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference. People don't know this. The Bucks are 26-10, but the Raptors are 28-11. Due to having a lower winning percentage, the Raptors are now considered 2nd in the Eastern Conference. People probably don't know that. I really don't like that, but that's the way she blows sometimes. The Raptors are 6-4 in their last 10. Their Bucks are 8-2, and those Pacers, I'm gonna watch those Pacers, man. They're 8-2. They're 2 games behind the Bucks. They're right behind the Raptors. To tell you, the Pacers right now are a good, exciting basketball team to be watching. And now, speaking of the basketball, in terms of the Raptors, they got a tough schedule. They play against the San Antonio Spurs next game, against DeMar DeRozan and San Antonio Spurs. Kawhi Leonard returning to San Antonio. You have Danny Green returning there. They're going to be without Valanciunas, and they're also going to be without Kyle Lowry, so he's going to be out indefinitely because of his back injections. You have the Raptors playing in Milwaukee on Saturday, and then they play the Pacers on Sunday in a back-to-back against number 1 seed in the East considerably with the Bucks, and also with the 3 seed with the Indiana Pacers. So now the Raptors got a tight schedule. You got to admit, this early in the year, Jamie, this is what's going to really show what the Raptors have. Playing against the Bucks, against the Pacers, teams that are really close in the conference, especially having the Bucks on the road. You and I picked the Bucks, that one team to watch in the East that the Raptors really got to watch how they play. But the Raptors do have injuries with Valanciunas and Lowry. Can they win these 3 games? Or do you think that's going to be really tough to say for Raptors fans? Or would you consider a win 2 out of 3 games be successful in terms of those next 3 games against the Spurs, Bucks, and the Pacers? Or can the Raptors pull off all 3?
I mean, yeah, I think they can pull off all 3, no problem. It just depends on what team shows up that night, and got certain guys get hot. I mean, Siakam I think he had a career-high 28 points the other night. So
Kawhi at 45?
Kawhi at 45. So, I mean, not trying to downplay from Kawhi, but it's almost, you kind of expect that stuff from Kawhi at this point. I mean, he's a superstar. He's a top 5 guy in the league. So, but for Pascal Siakam to really, if it elevated his game this year, that's huge. That's part of the reason why I think the Raptors have one of the best benches in the league. Yeah. But, yeah, Lowry's the big one right now, I think, injury-wise. I mean, a lot goes through him. He's been playing lights out this year.
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. That's tough. So we got to weather the storm there. Yeah. I think. I think it's possible. Van Vliet's really got to step up.
Yeah,
that's a big one. I think so. I'm curious to see if they can weather the storm till basically almost All-Star break at this point. Right, we're talking now. So we're in that mid-season slump. You got to maintain it. Get Lowry back. Get him healthy. Get going on a run. Try and get back to that 1 seed here at one point. I mean, realistically, they still are the 1 seed, but because they have 3 games in hand, you said, I think.
Yeah, and
one more loss. So it's you got to think. I mean, you went head-to-head against Milwaukee here, then you're back at 1 seed. So, but it's going to be tight, come down to it. And home court, I mean, it's a huge thing, but I honestly think this Raptors team has built itself to be able to win no matter where they are now. And it's not like it's a one-and-done game. You're playing series when you get to the playoffs, so worst case scenario, you go to 7 games, you're going to get 3 of those games at home anyways. So you should still be able to take advantage of that. But I think it's not devastating because we're still so early in the season. But I'm curious to see how they can come out of this. They go 500 on this stretch. then we're talking about a little bit of a different story.
Justin, I know you're going to love saying something about basketball, but I'm not going to throw you under the bus that way. I want to talk about the back-to-back against the Bucks and Pacers. Never mind, even in terms of the difficulty of that. How could a team overcome and have back-to-back against those two tough teams? And I'll even get your take on DeMar DeRozan playing against the Raptors and Kawhi playing against San Antonio. That big trade that happened in the offseason must be pure excitement for both guys, Kawhi, DeMar, and even Danny Green.
As far as Kawhi and DeMar go, I honestly think it's just another game. And DeMar, maybe more so to the point where he's made an effort to come out and say, I wanted to break records in Toronto. I wanted to be the only guy that spilled my pop on the floor in Toronto. I wanted to be the only guy that ever tied my shoes in the one place in the arena in Toronto. He's a little hurt about it, but you got to move on. It's a business. When you're getting paid so much money to play basketball, you got to understand that there's a chance you can get traded. Move on. You're playing on a good team. You're having a good season. It's another game you got to win. And as far as Kawhi goes, you're playing on a good team. You're in and out of the lineup this year as far as you're getting eased back in and whatever. So he's got it made where he is in Toronto. You just got to come in and win. All DeMar's got to do is come in and help his team win. As far as that game goes, get it out of the way. Once this first initial meeting's over with, then it's just another meeting after the fact. It's no different than Tavares and the Islanders on the weekend. Same thing. Get it out of the way. It's like when you see your ex-girlfriend in the mall for the first time. Everyone does the awkward head look over, doesn't want to, whatever. Sault Ste. Marie, you're going to see all your ex-girlfriends eventually. Maybe it's a bad analogy. I don't know, but it's...
I was going to say, I saw all four of mine at the same Christmas party, so it's the way it goes.
Wow. All four in the same Christmas party.
And look,
we should talk about that.
And he's still alive. He doesn't get a rest day tomorrow. He's doing all right. Look at him.
What about
this back-to-back on the weekend, though, with their depleted lineup right now. Because, Lowry's out. And to me, the 32-year-old guy with back problems that they're thinking is going to get better. Let me tell you, I'm a 33-year-old guy with back problems, and they're not
getting better.
So since I hit 30, they have not gotten better. They have only gotten worse. Since I don't have the Raptors training staff, maybe I'm at a disadvantage, but...
You have the Tiana Blair.
Yeah, it's... it's as good as we can do, and I'm doing all right. I still perform every day, showing up to work. I haven't had any days off, so we're doing okay. But this weekend, the Bucks with that's the Greek character plays in the Bucks, right? Yeah, I don't know how to say his name there, but he's a lunatic.
Yeah, he's a freak.
That's nonsensical the way he plays.
Nonsensical.
It's a tough set of back-to-backs, but if they can pull that out, then that's a big. Maybe that's another notch in the belt of championship pedigree.
If a team's going to win a championship, it's this team in Toronto. I said that last year, but as soon as you acquire number 2, it just changes the entire existence of your organization. But I am excited to see DeMar DeRozan against Toronto. Too bad it's in San Antonio this round. Would love to see him return to Toronto, and he does on February the 22nd. The first time it almost is better. Fellas, great show as always. People are asking, where the fuck is Nathan Inch? Where is Intercontinental Inch? A guy texted me. I didn't say he would be on this week, but he is watching his kid and he was watching the World Junior matchup. He is planning to come by next week, so hopefully on the Sunday edition of Icebreakers I can announce that he is going to be coming next Wednesday, and we're going to get the character Nathan Intercontinental Inch to come on the show next week to talk on our Wednesday show. We're going to talk our wildcard recap, and we'll talk about the divisional matchups after that with myself and Jamie. Hopefully Justin can come on by for that as well. Tomorrow, Justin, you, I, and Dane are at Northern Spirit Brewing Company at 7:15 p.m. We're going to be talking professional hockey and a little bit of local hockey as well. The local recaps there. Lots of NHL news, and we're obviously going to be talking about the World Junior news with Canada losing to Finland in overtime today. Then Sunday, people can't forget we are Icebreakers this weekend. We're going to be talking about the local hockey update there as well with myself, Brad Kuchmiller, and potentially Justin and or Dane as well there. So big week still coming with the Game Sports Show. We're back here, and it's 2019. Big year for the show. Make sure you keep an eye on our Facebook page and our going to be more improved Instagram page in the coming weeks. You can follow that at The Game Sports Show SSM or on Facebook at The Game Sports Show. We had our In the Pocket. We talked about Week 17. We talked about NCAA football. We also talked about our predictions for the bracket. Don't forget, you can get a chance to win prizes courtesy of Sportscenter. Don't hesitate to comment below or send your picks for your NFL playoff bracket. And also don't hesitate to chirp myself, Jamie, or Justin. Fellas, sign over to you first, Justin. Thanks for coming on by. We'll see you tomorrow at Northern Superior at 7:15.
I'll be there. Bell's on.
There it is. Waiting for that. Jamie, next week, pal, you and me will be here. My bracket will be perfect. Yours will be almost perfect. Yeah, one different from mine. Yeah, one different from mine. And congratulations on winning the fantasy trophy this year. First one for the year. Don't get comfortable with it. Thanks for coming on by here tonight, my friend.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I'll try and not get comfortable with it, but we'll see. Hopefully my bracket's perfect and yours is one off, but we'll have to see that. But looking forward to it. Playoff football. Be able to talk national championship reaction next Wednesday as well. And hopefully we can get the rest of the guys on here, get a nice big panel going for playoff football.
My bold prediction to close off the show, because I didn't want to say it earlier, Russell Wilson throws for 380 yards this week and 3 touchdowns. If you got Russell Wilson this week in anything, I'm going to say he's going to throw 380 this week. I just got a feeling. I just picture myself looking at the computer and seeing 380 beside Russell Wilson this week. Sorry, Cowboys fans. Now, Lions fans, I will tell you right now, you have something to look up to with Matt Patricia and Scott Nason. A lot to say about the Lions this year. We'll save that for next week, though. Just a little teaser going into next week. And don't forget, we're back at the Wicked Sister on January the 14th. I want to say thanks to Scott Nason, our board operator tonight. Obviously, thanks to Jamie and Justin once again, and to you, the listeners, for making us a part of your night. And until tomorrow night at Northern Superior Brewing Company, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show, the Game Sports Show, sign off here. Make sure you keep your stick on the ice, swing your bat, catch your touchdown, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.